Good morning. How are you this Sunday morning? I'm Denise Dryden. I'm here doing my weekly Sunday morning video, and I want to change things up a little bit. I'm bored. I've been talking about relationships and families and parenting and sensitivity and energy for a long time. And what I noticed this week is that between my friends, my colleagues, and my clients, something changed this week. Something changed dramatically in the field or in the earth vibration, and they've been calling me. They've been calling me like, "What's going on? What's going on?" They're noticing activations. They're noticing that their spouses are acting really ungrounded and all over the place. They're seeing reactivity in children, in pets, than themselves. They're they've got sore body parts, like whether like for me, I'm noticing that my teeth are hurting, and my joints are hurting in my hands. So whether it's your headaches, joints, muscles, back, lower back, we're seeing people whose lives are falling apart, whether they're choosing immediately, spontaneously to leave a marriage, to leave a job, to want to sell a house, right? It's just really rapid, and there's anger and irritability and rapid decisions. And, relationships are sort of rocking because as two people are going through any kind of a natural catastrophe, we could use the hurricane, we could use um, uh, uh, um, power outage, we could use anything that brings up a sudden change starts to cause us to wobble. And when we're in relationships, it's interesting to see who wobbles and who doesn't, or who freaks out and who doesn't, and what the roles we play are with each other. So I've been gathering information, and I thought I would lay it out there to you because it's much different than what I have been talking about, to a degree similar, but I'm going to notch it up. I'll be honest with that. Okay. So, number one, solar flares, if you've been tracking them, have been, if it's a CME, which is C is low, M is medium, and E or X is just like something we haven't seen before. We've been getting a lot of M's over and over and over again all last week, sometimes 2 and 3 a day. Second thing is that last week we also got our first X, which is the highest solar flare that I can remember in measurable time. I'm sure there's another one out there, but it's been decades or years, right? Number two, I follow astrology, and I'm reading the different astrologers who are going like, this week, because there's a lot of raw energy. There's a lot of reactivity and haste and rushes into action because we've got the the Aries, excuse me, we've got the Libra sun hitting this Aries moon, and this Aries moon is also in square with Uranus and Saturn and Mars. And they're just like all of these fire and transformational and, like time to do your stuff energies are just like crunching us in on such a amazingly difficult level. Okay. This morning at 2:54 Mountain Time, 12:54 Eastern Time, 1:54 Pacific, blah blah blah. It was the full moon. So that meant the moon went to its absolute fullest, and it's just beaming down on us, which if you have reactivities to full moons, put that in there. So also there's this came across my desk, and I'm not sure how to talk about it. It's within the energetic readers and predictors, and the ones who are talking about whether it's bursts of light, whether they're talking about ascension, whether they're talking about markers. I'm going to say that an ascension is like a frequency that we want to hold on our planet. And, we've been moving our way up in population, in how many people are holding light in their bodies, and it's been creeping up. And from this is just conjecture, right? But from what I've been able to gather is that somewhere on October 4th or 5th, we hit that mark, which meant sort of like whoom, this bright ability to hold light came onto the planet. Now, that means that there's more light, more energy, more visibility. And when light comes over and shines on us, which is like, oh my God, get the spotlight off of me. Sometimes it's going to bring up our self doubts. It's going to bring up traumas that are unresolved. It's going to bring up densities in our body. It's going to bring up worthiness or unworthiness. It's going to come after our Chiron wound. It's going to come after the things we've been ignoring, and our addiction patterns, and the dark parts of ourselves that we've been really good at pretending that they're not there or hiding. And I have so much compassion because I think in 2012 it was kind of like start getting things organized, start getting into a lighter way of living, and I wasn't sure what that meant. And what I'm seeing now is that, oh, I'm seeing what happens when you didn't. So I used an analogy with a really dear friend yesterday, and it worked. It worked so well. So I want to walk you through it. Okay. So let's use the house as an analogy. Let's say you have a house, and I'm going to give you 4 ways of running that house, right? So one is that it's really super tidy, clean, dusted, windows are clean, and everything's sort of clothes are organized. And it's sort of like, someone could say, I'm coming over, and you're like, yeah, sure, because you could just open the door and you would never have a grip inside of you like, oh, shoot, I forgot about that, right? Second example is you have a clean and tidy house, and you have this secret, right? Which is like, maybe you've got a bed with a long bed skirt, and you just shove stuff under there. You shove dirty clothes, you shove pizza boxes, you shove shopping with receipts on it that or tags on them still because you haven't decided, and then you forgot about them. It's just dirty, dusty, cat hair, everything is under there. And if you don't look under the bed, you don't know that it's there, right? But when you have to move the bed or something, you're like, oh no, I forgot about all that stuff. So that's number 2. Okay. Number 3, your house is a mess. There are clothes lying on the floor. There are dishes in the sink. The dishwasher's full. No one's run it. There's toys all over the place. The hamper's full. You're running out of underwear. You don't have any clean towels, and there's just crap all over the house. And you just at some point go, this is going to take a lot to clean up. Okay. Number 4 is that you've been hoarding and hiding for a long time, and there's stacks of books and papers on every flat surface. There are boxes packed up to the floor. There are bags holding shopping bags and articles and magazines and things that think, if you've ever spent any time in a person's house who hoards, it can be really full of junk. Okay, so we have these 4 house examples, and imagine that this light, boom, just kind of came and shone on it, right? Like, oh, and all of a sudden your guilt and your things you've been hiding and everything isn't quite up to par. Now my guess is that because of the 4 ranges that we have, it can be either really simple to go through into this highly lit scenario, or there's a little bit of shame and a little bit of like hiding, or there's overwhelm, or there's the desire to just check out and leave because it's too big, too much to work with. And so we have to understand that that's what's going on right now, is that we're seeing people who are looking at their partners and saying, I'm not doing this anymore. We're seeing work where they're going in and there's messes at work, or they're being compromised, or they're being underpaid, and they're like, I'm not doing this anymore. They are working with their children, and they're saying, we need to stop this now. And so what we're seeing is reactivity that's up and big, right? Because we're seeing the messes. We can feel the distance between the inside and the outside when these messes when it's too big, right? And you have to feel what I like it. We have to feel what you've become. You've become this over a period of holding your head down, ignoring it, pretending it's not there, and compromising the people you love around you, because you don't know how to deal with this, right? So when we hit this marker, what's happening is it's bringing up our energy blocks. It's bringing up our densities. It's bringing up things that need to be addressed. It's removing, it's giving us an opportunity to remove things so that we can flow, so that we can start to sort of shine and be out there, right? So what's happening is we are now hit a marker of empowerment, and some of us are ready, and some of us are not even close to being ready. And so this is where we get to look around and hold ourselves and those around us in a lot of understanding, compassion, yet firm boundaries. Like, you know what? I'm not giving up my light so that just because you have been ignoring this for 20 years, right? So I have 5 tips for you. One, energy isn't good. Light energy, whatever we want to call this, isn't good or bad, right or wrong. It's not masculine, it's not feminine. It's free, it's open, it's flowing, it's accessible to all of us, kind of like the sunshine. It just comes up and it doesn't say, I'll give you sunshine if. It just shines, right? So energy, it moves all the time around us, and it's invisible. And I love working with energy and how it affects relationships and what it does. So just know, first and foremost, that there's no duality in it, right? Number 2, if you have guilt or shame or self-judgment or irritations and they're up, recognize them. Don't sink away from them. Don't dodge them, because there's nowhere to hide, right? Simply name them and see what you can do. Sort of use your momentum or your action to go like, oh, wow, I spent all last night in self-doubt. Of course I did. It was the full moon. It was this, it was this. And you go like, of course I did. So you have this compassion and you start picking up the mess one at a time, listening to some music without judgment, sort of cleaning up your life, because it's time. Number 3, go directly to your heart. Go to your heart chakra, breathe from there, and expand it into your body. This heart energy is a vibration that doesn't have judgment to it. It doesn't have duality. It's like the energy, it's like the sun. Our heart doesn't get in the way. So go there. It takes the pressure off of you, because your thoughts are going, you should have done this. You should have done this. I've told you, how long, right? You know, ad nauseum. Go to your heart. Your heart helps it open and just keep going here and here. And it's much gentler, and it is a lot more energy than the brain does. Number 4, relax your body. Find out where you're clenching, or where you're holding on, where your gut is pulled up, or your diaphragm is contracted, where you're like waiting for, oh no, is there more? Is there more? We have to relax our body, because then the heart can go easily and effortlessly and clean the energy and the densities out of the body, right? So when you're especially dealing with another partner, with your partner, a child, another person, anything, right? Then we have to realize that we have to help them get unclenched too, because sometimes it looks like anxiety. Sometimes it looks like staying up all night. Sometimes it looks like anger. And we have to just go, so like, how do I breathe and entrain the room to be much calmer? Okay. Number 5, have compassion for yourself and for others, because what we're facing now, we've actually been aware of unconsciously, consciously for some time. Yet, we've sort of been blocking this energy. And so what we want to say is like, let's just let it go. Let's just let this light sunshine. It's like going and sitting in the sun, and be having compassion for those that this is really painful for. So have compassion. I think I'm going to end every single video with have compassion, right? Because I think that that's what we do. Um, to hold each other and to guide each other forward through these enormous changes. So if you want some navigation through this, if you want some clarity, if you want to work on a special one-on-one, like this is, what do I do with this? That's what I'm here for. I coach. I coach individual sessions. I coach in packages, and you can find me on denisestryden.com, and there's a whole list of ways you can work with me. I also have a lot of videos that have been sort of preceding this and moving up to this, but this is the time I sort of really put the ascension light out there and saw what happened. So if you like this, subscribe, because I'm trying to get up to 500 so I can do some posts on YouTube as well. Have a great Sunday, and I will see you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.